What is up, everybody? How you doing? K Coolmans, aka Korey Coleman over here, and I got my other guy over here. As I call her, my other wife. I'm sticking with that.
That's
man.
fine, man. I don't mind.
Christopher J. Herman.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
No, thank you for being here, man. Thank you. You know, about this time last week, my real wife, she was drunk and just forcing herself into the show, which I didn't mind.
No, it was fun.
It was amusing, but yeah, she really wanted to be on it. I want to talk. Don't know shit about video games.
Fighting those zombies, those Spaniards.
As recommended by Twitch themselves, our Twitch rep, they said that we should do a gaming show.
Yeah, video game news.
Video game news and discussions, and that is what we're gonna do before we get into the game tonight. And as I said, people, don't worry. Tonight we are going to be getting into Resident Evil. I've been playing the game a little bit. I'm excited about trying to play this game, man. I've actually not been playing. I've been having to fight not playing this game. I've been wanting to play all day and all night, but I know because you and I are going to be be doing this a little bit later. We should bring in somebody who is an expert in all things zombie.
A very passionate fan.
A very passionate person who loves certain directors that work in the zombie genre.
Somebody say zombie.
The magic word.
Very excited about this.
Yeah,
Yay, Tony, the sidekick.
There he is, Sidekick 3000.
Yeah.
They know your name better than I do. I keep calling you. I keep calling you co-host.
I know. I keep calling myself co-sidekick, and I can't. Get
I know. I keep calling you Cosine 3000.
Coho. That's always my favorite. Coho 3000.
Yeah.
But hey guys, what's up?
How's everybody doing out there, man? And look who's here.
It's me. Yeah.
And Tony here. Okay. Now here's the thing, man. You know, I know that you love your superheroes and you love your action movies.
I love a lot of bullshit.
You love your titties, man, and all that. Yeah, you
boobs.
Yeah, you love all that. And you're very forgiving of those things, even when they're considered by a lot of people not to be even that good.
No. Well, here's the thing. I understand people's complaints, and especially when they're not good. But there's still a part of me that grew up with these things that I noticed when I was growing up, and that part of me has always still been there. So let's say Aquaman. Aquaman.
A lot of people love Aquaman.
I liked it. I heard your reviews and I was like, okay, I get that, but you know, there's something that I saw in Aquaman that I keep thinking like, wow, this is something. Even if I was a kid, I would see something that I would love. There's something I would grab on and hold on to. And that would make up for the rest of the, you know.
Well, look, I'm in the minority. I'm in the minority on something like Aquaman. You know, a lot of people love Aquaman, but one of the things that people are talking about has ran its course, and y'all need to quit, especially when we have new things in that property that are coming out and not only are good but are advancing the franchise, and that is Resident Evil, man. A lot of people say these movies, they've run their course, man.
They have.
Yeah, you know.
I'm not going to argue that.
They ran their course after
that
the
is
first
not my Aquaman.
No, they're like, hey, we need to move on from this. They're not even like the games anymore. You know, which I kind of admire that they become their own thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, well, at the beginning, at least with the first one, the first movie, you're like, it has some things that I'm a little I'm a little okay with that, but at the end of the day, it's still not a good movie.
No.
I'm not going to fight on that hill for that film.
No, you know, but a lot of people are first happy to hear this news, and then once they finally get into the news, it's like, oh shit, now here we go again. You know, you got me excited, now you got me down. And what I'm talking about is over at Netflix. Netflix has been the savior for a lot of things out there.
Some things. Yeah.
Something, not all.
Yeah, not all.
They're
still trying to grab a hold on that whole movie train that they're doing, their own original movies.
Well, they've done well.
They've done
Bird
a few
Box,
things.
Roma. Coen Brothers movie,
Buster Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs, Beast of No Nation. You know, this year Netflix is a historic year for them. First time to actually get that nomination with Roma.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that is a Netflix film because I know it hit the theater. I think the same day it hit Netflix. So.
Netflix is kind of. I can see why you think that because Netflix is blurring the line.
It really is
between what movies are and what movies are considered. You know, when movies are considered to be legit by being theatrical and not going straight to home release, Netflix is going in and saying, all right, we can have both.
It really is. But when you see something like Cloverfield Paradox, you just want to throw your goddamn Netflix in the trash.
Man, why you bringing up that? Man, that was a year ago.
Old
shit, man. Why you bringing up that old shit, man? That was a year ago.
Super Bowl's coming up, so the line keeps getting blurred. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Got me so excited. Even though I love that promotion,
same.
I was like, man, if that film was as great as everyone was hoping it would be, as soon as they got home drunk after being in the bar all day watching the Super Bowl, can you imagine the new way of promoting a film just by saying surprise, motherfucker! Yeah, during the Super Bowl,
motherfuckers were dying trying to get home and watch the Cloverfield Paradox. Yeah. Well, that's why people now are looking at this news and saying there might be a shimmer of hope. The shimmer of hope is that the Resident Evil series is being taken over to Netflix. And I'm looking at this on Deadline.com, and they are talking about how, will this be a movie or a series?
They're talking about it as in a series. They don't know if it'll be like episodic or like an anthology type of thing.
And the thing I heard, at least recently, was that it still is going to have some ties to the original Anderson film series.
And that's the thing.
Because it's Constantine Films. So when I saw that bit of news, first time I was excited because the last thing I heard about this project was that, or anything revolving around Resident Evil, was that it was going to be produced by James Wan. Speaking of Aquaman, his name was attached.
At one point.
And then he said, no, that news came out because I was in talks, but I didn't make the announcement. Some other person that I talked to.
Some other asshole.
Some jackass on YouTube made that announcement. So it got people really excited. Of course, this was before Aquaman, so everyone was still in the camp of the guy can do no wrong. But, as soon as that news went to the wayside and, this new series just popped up, I noticed in the news it said Constantine Films is attached. And they still want to have some continuity with the film.
Yeah, I'll even read it to you right here. Let me see. It says Resident Evil is headed to television. And this is, again, from Deadline.com. The author here is the one saying this. I have learned that Netflix is developing a scripted series based on the hit action horror franchise. I hear the series will be a Netflix global original. German production and distribution company Constantine Film, which is behind the Resident Evil movies, loosely based on the Well, that's putting it. That's putting it lightly right there.
Not based at
before
all.
They start making up shit.
Right.
They say that the movies will be based on the Capcom video game series, and they say that Constantine is the studio indeed. Search is underway for showrunners to shepherd the adaptation. Now, that could be cool because while the production company... who did that?
Thank you, Andrew. 2780 for the subscription. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Also,
congratulations.
Tarlin, again, thank you for that gifted sub before.
Thank you. Now, that's a good... That's a sign of hope. That's a good sign of hope.
What is?
That... It's the same company, but they're looking for different showrunners.
Showrunner.
The Constantine they're just probably putting the money behind this. Yeah. Netflix will probably have a hand in there too to kind of guide this the way they want it. And
I hope.
It's going to depend on the showrunner.
There needs to be some quality control at Netflix, I think, at this point. You're making enough success. I do think. I mean, and this could bite me in the ass too by saying this. You always hope that there's somebody. Hey, look, people are expecting. We all read the internet. And there's enough evidence on the internet to show that people want what they're getting in the films to some extent. And you can either say that's the games 1 and 2 and 7, as far as what people really want, but they want the slow burn, intense experience that you get from the game as opposed to the hyperkinetic Transformers world of, that Anderson brought to us.
The flippy jumps.
I wonder if that's why the games, you got to ask yourself, did the games take that turn into action because
they were influenced by the film
specifically? Influenced by these movies, man.
Yes, they were. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what happened with 4, 5, and 6. They were all influenced by the films.
And to their credit, it was because those movies were still doing well, within
commercially,
their niche audience, like the Transformers films. I mean, the Transformers kind of went that route too, where some of the properties that were outside of the film series started to take notes from the films because they knew there's a shitload of people watching those films. Why don't we bring that into the fold?
Yeah, and so that I always thought, and I think we even talked about this before, is because we had this question back when we did a video game show back on our other property. Spill, if some of you guys may remember that, we did a show called The Loading Bar, and one of the questions was, what can they do after, because this is back in the heyday of these films right here. They said, what can they do to improve on the movies or this property if they're gonna bring it outside of video games? And I always said that, you know what? First of all, I would like to see, and we talked about this. You said you like to see a what of this? You mentioned you'd like to see an animated version of this.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
It's out there.
I think they got
my
that.
whole thing. I would like to see an animated version of this property because I think that's a good thing for video games to do. Like the Castlevania series, I think that was a great. And it's respectful. It has that same art style.
Yep.
And you can get someone just passionate about it who knows the stuff.
The two guys. Yeah, the two guys. By the way, the two guys that work on that show that make it so great. I knew those guys when they were kids. They lived next door to me.
Are you serious?
They were my they were my kid
growing
brother.
up.
They were my kid brother.
What happened to you?
Best friends. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm still over here. Those guys used to be fans of our show. One of the showrunners was like a huge fan of us doing The Real Deal.
Oh yeah.
But these guys were so into that property that their dad got them one of the games from Japan. They were playing the import versions of those games.
So that goes to show you, like, bringing in. You make a great point, man. If you're gonna do this, bring in people who are
fanatics,
who are fans. Who are fans of this franchise here. Bringing people bringing some of the people who have taken the games where they are now.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, man, I think that they can do it. I would like to see an animated version of this.
Sure.
But if they're gonna do it, I would love to see. Like you said, an anthology. I would love to see an anthology with the same characters. I've always said this: that they can do. Use the same characters, but it's episodic. They go and fight a biological
terrorist threat.
Yeah.
In various countries or cities. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you guys are saying that, but I mean, there are those animated films.
Yeah, but
they're no good.
I saw the one in the air.
That's why I say
Degeneration
when you guys talk about that, that's all I can think about is that I'm worried that they would have guys who would take what's going on in the games because that's more in tune with what the games were doing. I don't know if it's part of the canon, but I mean, the way it's animated, it's like it's not as scary, when you're not playing it.
No, that's true. Damn, that dog got some acne, boy. Dog looked like me when I was 16.
Oh, jeez.
I always thought that it could make a great anthology, and if they stick kind of close to the series, but they can have some freedom if they make it episodic.
My thing is
you
just
have these characters maybe different characters for every episode. One episode has Chris Redfield, another episode has Leon Kennedy. And at some point they do like an Avengers thing, but not as cheesy or anything. They do an Avengers thing.
Now you're talking
They're
about
on a
live
mission together, or they happen to be in the same.
But you're talking about live action, not animated.
Either one.
Either way, okay.
I just hope they treat it with respect and they get someone who is passionate about it. I think Netflix does need some type of quality control of some of their content, especially with I think their ongoing series.
There's been enough internet comments to let the world know just how people feel about this property.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I would like that it to be animated because I think that's just a better. I think you can do more of an adaptation like that. So often with so many live action adaptations of video games, they're all bad.
Yeah.
Like not even the ones that I'm like, I kind of like half of Warcraft. But that's not much to say. At least with animation, I think you can get away with a lot more. You can have maybe the same aesthetic styles to it. You can bring a lot more to it. And I think personally, I would like that. But they can do it in live action.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Okay,
so we'll see.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Now, speaking of live action, this we're talking about live action like this is something new for the Resident Evil series, and Resident Evil series has sort of a mixed relationship with up and down relationship with how they've dealt with live action in their franchise in the past.
Of course.
Now we remember some things that were not very good, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But after that, they kind of went in and fixed their perception of what they can do with live action, and this is before we had the movies. They had now, Tony, you might remember this. There was a commercial for it. Now we're talking about Resident Evil 2 today,
right?
Big game that came out. We've been talking about that, but back in the day, they had also this kind of landmark commercial for Resident Evil 2.
That's right.
And do you remember this commercial?
Yeah, of course I do. Yes, it was directed by George Romero.
Yep.
It was a Resident Evil 2 commercial. Biohazard 2.
I like the way he was like, fuck this. I'm out, man.
Babyface Leon.
That's not the Leon. He's like, shit. Fuck it, I'm out.
Biohazard 2.
Yes.
The Japanese.
Why did they get a 14-year-old to play
Leon? I know he's
Yeah.
a kid. It's very because kids are playing video games. You could be Leon S. Kennedy.
That was Brad Renfro, which I don't even know if kids even remember.
That's Brad Renfro?
That's Brad Renfro.
I don't know who that is.
That's a 15-year-old Brad Renfro. Have you ever heard of Apartment Pupil? Oh, sorry, it's an app pupil. I'm sorry.
App pupil? Yeah. I've seen
The
it.
kid in
What's
the
apartment?
Apartment. It's APT. Apartment. That's how I say it.
Yeah, App Pupil. He was
Ian McKellen, yeah.
He was the kid in that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was him.
I
And
like that movie.
he actually was having a pretty successful acting career until he was doing too much of the T-virus. Apparently, and he died.
He was a fucking coward and just ran.
And he died of a heroin overdose. Yeah, but that's what happens.
Wow.
Yeah, I love how they show this. They try to introduce this all heroic and everything.
That shadow.
Yeah.
He's scared of his own shadow. Shadows.
Nah, man, it was a cool commercial. I had actually forgot that they had done that.
Well, it was only shown in Japan, and the only reason why it got on my radar was because I went to a convention, and somebody had a Resident Evil tape, and they had images, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And it was said it was directed by George Romero, and I was like, "What is this? Some movie George Romero directed, over in Japan, and didn't bother to tell anybody about it?" So I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh wow, they actually went and did a full-on commercial for it when it was Biohazard."
Yeah, I remember seeing it on, it was making the rounds on the internet too at the time, and because I remember people saying like, "Man, this is badass. How come they didn't do this here in America?" And I was like, "That's a good question, but I know it never showed here."
Right.
Like, man, he's doing that thing that other, I don't know why he did that because people go to Japan to do things they're embarrassed about. Commercials.
Yeah, right. Like Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that's what
doing
they go
those noodle commercials.
Yeah,
all the
they go there to
time.
sell tuna and shit. Yeah,
he has like an entire catalog of noodle commercials. Schwarzenegger does, where you're like, this is like half his career that we had no idea about.
But they're fighting noodles and shit.
Yeah. But actually, he was requested by the game developers because they were huge fans of his movies of Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Yeah, even so much that the camera angles. They say that a lot of the camera angles in the game, how you're playing it, is influenced by his movies. Yeah,
yeah. No,
so
man.
and he was honored, and then right after he did that commercial, they saw it and they were so impressed that they were like, "Hey, you want to write and direct
the Resident Evil movie,
yeah,
which was never accepted. They had, and it was, man. If you think the Resident Evil series that we were talking about tonight, if you think that this that this series has gone off the rails, you should have seen George Romero, and the script is out there. You can read George Romero's script for this, and it's in. Have you ever read George Romero's script?
No, I have
for this?
not read
for his Resident Evil movie. No. Look. It is so faithful to the game that it might have. They probably looked at it and said, "This will never work out on as a movie because it is very faithful." They put everything that's in the game,
like the puzzles and shit and everything.
With like giant spiders, snake,
all the mutated creatures are in there. But I think the only change in it was Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine were they're a couple, and they were working on a farm. They weren't. They weren't part of any kind of star quad.
So they had the backstory.
Yeah,
okay.
And I think Chris had a mohawk too. That was one of the weird things.
No, really?
He had a mohawk.
Okay, yeah, that's why they scrapped it.
That's where like
man,
George,
we went into the mohawk.
Bro, Chris.
But apparently he revised that script trying to make them happy with it, and I think it was the producer. It was the guy running Capcom that looked at it and he was like, no, we got to get rid of it. So and they gave it to Anderson, which made it the incredible film series
that we have today. And the rest, as they say, is his story.
You dodged the bullet.
Yeah. You know what? They've gone and paid homage to that trailer. I mean, they really are going all out with marketing on this game here, which is great. There's the thing that this has been honored for is that while it's such a different game. Yeah. What we have, there's still bits and pieces up there that not only are recognizable, but they do pay honor to the original game.
Aesthetically, yeah.
Aesthetically.
Oh, I mean, yeah, playing it with you last night and me playing it the night before, the original, there's a lot of things in there. Actually, a lot of the rooms and the hallways are pretty close to the game. Like, I was like, wow, did they just use that blueprint and just, re-rendered it and really, like, gave it that top shelf look that the game so desperately needed. You know, it's incredible.
Well, now they've gone in and did it right down to saying, hey, they did a commercial back then. Now we got to do one too.
Might as well.
Now we got to make a live.
So they dug up George Romero. They did a weekend at Bernie's with him.
Actually, George Romero rose from the dead.
He's trying to give everyone mohawks.
Just put a camera in his hand. So let's take a look at the live action commercial that they did for this. I mean, it made big news when it came out, and but still, some people have they have not seen this.
Oh, fuck! Leon's still running.
She's like, bitch, you almost shot me.
I killed that shadow.
Okay.
Resident Evil 2.
You know, it's not... Because some people were expecting like this to have a big ass budget.
No, it looks like a fan film.
It does, man.
It's a fan film.
That's
not George Romero, Corey. That is not George. They did not. They should have dug up his body.
No, this shit was shot on a set somewhere. It looked like it was shot on the set of a kid's show.
Right.
The other thing, I look at this like they got Marty McFly's dad to actually come in.
Crispin Glover. Got the same hairstyle.
Yeah, man. He's got the same hairstyle, the same
your
nose.
hands off for her.
Those zombies like McFly.
Kept shaking his head every time he saw one of his shadows. Like,
see, that's the thing I don't want in live action. That hairstyle will not work in live action.
It won't. It will not. That's the thing that you got. Some changes have to be made if you put it in live action.
Unless you hire a K-pop guy.
Shit.
Do some work on CG on him.
Man, shit ain't got to be a K-pop guy. That could be a boy band in America right there.
Asian wash that character.
No grown man needs to be going around with a 16-year-old. Fuck that. A 12-year-old haircut, man.
Justin Bieber, dude.
Yeah.
They're bringing it back, Corey. They're bringing everything back. Goddammit.
Yeah, put that shit way back. No, but you know what?
Love it. Oh, but you know what? They changed it from a redhead. I don't know if you remember the original game.
He was
a redhead.
He was. I did not recognize that, man. You know,
trivia for you.
This is goofy, man. Yeah, like
That's why it's a total homage to that original fan film.
Yeah,
it's not meant to be serious.
There's just no way to go in and do a direct translation of Resident Evil.
It's too hard.
Without making it look goofy.
Well, especially since everyone's so used to the films. I mean, you expect anybody going, hey, can you make a Resident Evil 2 trailer for us? They are going to make the fucking Anderson shit for you, you know, because it has to be popping, exciting for these kids to pay attention to what's going on. There needs to be explosions every 5 seconds.
Or if you try to do this, like I said, man, this looks like a kid's show. Yeah. You know, because granted they don't have the violence or anything in there, but it looks.
What
man,
kid shows are you watching?
Yeah.
I want to see those shows.
Walking Dead PG.
No, it looks like that's the thing. It's a violent series. It's got mature themes in there, but. It looks like it's shot like a kid show, like it's shot on a lot somewhere. You could tell all this is
feels like a YouTube series.
Everything feels like cardboard. That wall right there feels like cardboard.
It looks like those goddamn Walking Dead mini episodes that they put on the internet.
Oh, for season 1.
For like season 1 when they did that. That's what it looks like super low budget.
Well,
I was just gonna say, I think the problem where I don't think you can do a proper. The thing with Resident Evil is that it's a B movie at heart, and if you're going to adapt it to live action, it's always going to be goofy. Yep. And I think that's going to be the big issue. Like even they had those like original cutscenes back for Resident Evil 1 that were just terrible, but. I think it'd just be too difficult to nail the tone down. That's why I think it works in games because they have like goofy dialogue. You see those cool creatures, but
I mean that's why when I heard James Wan was doing it, I was like, well, this guy has a good way of creating atmosphere in his movies, and I think a lot of times we see so many bad versions of this, just like we used to see so many bad zombie movies back in the day. Whenever one of them came across, we're like, we were so excited, but then you're like, well, it's because they weren't really using all their talent. They weren't finding the right talent to bring these across. Like somebody like James Wan who creates suspension in a completely dark room. Yeah. With a zombie running around, I would love to see that. You know, he does a good job with it with fucking Ghost. I'm sure he can do it with zombies.
Yeah, but you know what? But you hit it right there, Chris. Of like, hey. Look, we talk about how this would be a hard thing to translate to live action without changing things around. Say what you will about the Resident Evil series and movies right now. Paul W.S. Anderson, but you know he did say, "Look, I gotta change this. You know, it's gonna be hard for me to do a direct translation because when they did do that, it got because they did a direct translation in the second Resident Evil movie, where they tried to make it like Resident Evil 2, the game, and it came out.
Yeah.
But
it was terrible.
You can't say they didn't make any progress. Like you said, those live action intros and outros they had to look. No one said anything because it was for a goofy horror B movie video game. But year after year, those live action cutscenes look worse and worse. I mean, it didn't help that they had these terrible actors, man.
God.
These really shitty actors, and I want to know where these actors are today.
I don't want to.
They're watching this Twitch right now. They're watching.
They're donated.
Critique their work.
Name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sending in their resumes right now. Yeah, because I remember the endings were the worst. Now we're talking about how cheap that they look in these commercials, but those endings, man, that they had for those like that.
She drunk?
Man, like, how can you fuck up wiping your brow?
I know.
All you gotta do is wipe.
I know.
Like sweat off your.
It's like they hired like the neighborhood community actors or something.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you've never attempted to act in your life.
And this shit is obviously shot in a storage crate somewhere.
It is. Yeah. Put a wooden bench in there. It's supposed to be a helicopter or something.
This was shot wherever they were behind something. That's all. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's the one where I guess Jill was the only one that survived.
Yeah,
That's what you got. Yeah, look at that. She got, of course, since they hired a hot chick, she got to let her hair down.
It looks like one of those 1-900 numbers that you call to have some company at night.
Yeah.
You see, it's like, call me if you want to chat late at night.
Tired of fighting zombies alone. Right. Do you want company? Right. Are you horny?
I'll be your Valentine.
I'll let you bite my ass. Just call 1-900. Oh, thanks. Awesome.
Oh, look at those. Oh my God.
I can munch down on other things. Yeah, man.
It's beautiful. Yeah. That belongs in a museum.
But that's baked into the DNA of Resident Evil. Even despite because they've done a lot of remakes of the first game, but those lines are still in there. I mean, that's why it's like, you want to do live action? Okay. But I think with animation, it's come across a lot better.